Today on Be Something Wonderful, how 3D events and conditions become enchanted. The Bridge of Incidents. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. Good morning. Big video today comes from a session yesterday that I had with a client. And he had a lot of questions on the Bridge of Incidents, on how does he know that the events that are happening, or the events that are unfolding, are part of the Bridge of Incidents. Which events are part of the Bridge of Incidents, which aren't? How does he know that that it's leading him to what he wants? How does he know that he's making the right decision, taking the right action? All of these questions came up. And really what we hit, bigger than we ever have before, more than we ever had before, is that once you assume your desired end, once you stand in that conviction, make that assumption that you already are that person that you want to be, that you already have it, and that you are going to occupy that new reality, that you're going to be that version, then all events, all conditions, no matter how contrary they look, are leading you to your wish fulfilled in 3D reality, are leading to the fulfillment of what you want in 3D reality. All of them are part of the unfolding. All of them are part of the path of least resistance. Why? Because you say so, because you're now thinking from the end. You're now living in that end. You now are going to the end and you're staying there. You're in that deep conviction that reality is already real for you. You are being the person for whom and through whom that reality is already real. So all events then must be leading to it. 3D reality rearranges itself around you, yields to you, because you say so, because you're in that state of being. Remember, your state of being, your assumption of who you are is the only reality. So when you assume that, and as you stand in that, remember what Bashar said, the test isn't that the events change right away. The test is that you stand in that conviction, and that then 3D reality starts rearranging itself around you as you walk over the Bridge of Incidents, along the path of least resistance, to your fulfillment in 3D reality. You're going from fulfillment to fulfillment to fulfillment. Remember, the path is always one of fulfillment. You are already that fully complete I am. You are already absolutely fulfilled. You're now having the experience of that fulfillment in 3D reality, right? What you know, you're now going to know experientially in 3D reality as you walk. So each of these incidents, it doesn't matter how contrary they are. Remember, judge not according to appearances. That's what Jesus meant. They're all leading. Judge righteously as them all leading to what you want. So the question isn't about whether a certain physical event or incident is part of the Bridge of Incidents. The question is, are you seeing all physical events and conditions as part of the unfolding? From the assumption of already being that person you want to be and already having what you want to have. Do you see it? So all your decisions are leading to that. All your actions. It doesn't matter. Remember, those actions and decisions don't create reality. Your state of being does. So when you are in that state of being, in that conviction of what you want, in that absolute knowing that it's done for you, then it doesn't matter what you do or don't do. It's going to lead to that fulfillment in 3D reality. It doesn't matter what you decide or don't decide. It's all going to lead to what you want because you're in that conviction. But when you're not in that conviction, when you're not occupying that end, when you're interpreting events as unwanted or not leading you to that desired end, then it doesn't matter how hard you try, how many decisions you think you're making that are correct. It will not lead to it, or no matter what actions you take. Do you see it? So it's all unfolding because you say so. You interpret them that way. Remember, you are reality. Your state of being is reality. Your assumptions are reality. Your conviction is reality. Your assumption and conviction within of your desired reality builds a bridge of incidents that leads to its fulfillment in 3D reality. This is what Neville Goddard was talking about. When you go to that end and occupy it, that conviction, that assumption builds a bridge of incidents, an invisible bridge of physical incidents in 3D reality that leads you to its fulfillment in 3D reality. It leads to the manifestation in 3D reality. You're going from fulfillment to fulfillment. There's no path from unfulfillment to fulfillment, right? You've got to be fulfilled to experience that, have that fulfilling experience in 3D reality as source. Remember, the assumption, conviction of the desired end wills the means. In other words, what does Neville mean by that? It builds the bridge and path of least resistance to everything you desire. This means all events, all incidents and conditions along the invisible bridge imply fulfillment of your desire, no matter what they appear to be. So it's your conviction, your absolute knowing that enchants those events, right? Those events become enchanted because you're focused on that end. You're lighting them up. What normally would be seen as ordinary events are not. They're enchanted events. And they're enchanted because you say so, because of your assumption, right? So let's hit this. Your state of being, I am, that is the only reality. That's what enchants that bridge. That's what lights up that bridge. As you think, assume, and live from the end, as you see only fulfillment, the events and conditions and incidents become enchanted. Do you see it? Even if they look contrary, you're the one that's putting the magic in them as you see them, as you respond to them from that higher vantage point. As you respond to them from that new state of being, that new vibrational set point, as Abraham Hicks might call it, right? That new frequency, right? And then you enchant those events. The invisible bridge in physical events, conditions, and incidents change in all time, where fulfillment is the only reality. Do you see it? You're changing all time. When you see those events from that higher vantage point, you're not just changing the present moment, you're changing the past, you're changing the future, you're changing all time by looking at those events the way that you would like to see them. This is really like on-the-spot revision, right? Remember, Neville talks about revising events from the day that went by or from your past. But really, it's like on-the-spot revision, looking at all conditions, which all conditions represent the past, and revising them on the spot, seeing them, in other words, the way you would like to see them from that new vantage point, from that new reality. An assumption builds a bridge of incidents that lead inevitably to the fulfillment of itself. Neville got it. To the fulfillment in 3D reality. Remember, you're going from fulfillment to fulfillment. An assumption builds a bridge of incidents that lead inevitably to the fulfillment of itself. It's inevitable. I love that. Neville got it. Remember, he uses the example that when he got out of the army, I think it was in 1943, him and his wife are looking for an apartment. And he had a rent that he wanted to pay in mind, right? A reasonable rent. And then when they found the apartment, the rent was more than he had planned to pay. And this is what his wife says to him. I brought this up in another video. I think it's quite hilarious. His wife said, "Wow, that's not demonstrating this principle, is it?" Right? His wife is giving him a hard time, right? You're not demonstrating the principle here. But think about what his wife represents in this example. It represents everything in 3D. It represents those incidents, those conditions that look like they're the opposite of what you want, or they're telling you can't have what you want, or you're not really demonstrating that power within you, right? That's your doubt. You're doubting yourself, right? That his wife's representing him in this case as you doubt it. But you're tempted to doubt it, but he didn't. He stayed in that his ideal rent. I'm using an example. They didn't give numbers. He didn't give numbers in this example, but I'm using numbers as an example so you can follow this. Let's say that his ideal rent was $250. This is his current lifeline. This is his current reality, his current parallel path. This is the current bridge, all right? The current bridge of incidents in 3D reality. In September, he paid the $325, the higher rent. In October, he paid the higher rent. He just didn't say anything to his wife. He didn't answer her, right? It's kind of like Jesus in front of Pontius Pilate, right? At first, when Pontius Pilate asked him, "Who are you?" Jesus doesn't answer. I am doesn't answer to the 3D world of doubt and limitations, to the lower mind, right? So this is the same thing. Well, he didn't even say anything. He just went within and he paid rent. Remember, you're following the script, but you're awake in the script. Neville's awake. Neville's imagining. Neville's in his assumed end. He's seeing everything from that lower rent now. He's seeing this current script from that lower rent. Even as, hear this, even as he's paying $325, even as the conditions are showing him differently, he's following the script. He's not resisting it. He knows that that script will change. That film roll will change. He's going quietly upstairs and putting in a new film roll that has a new script, right? So then what happened then? Remember, the blue slide or frame of reality represents your current present moment, your current reality. These black ones represent the past. We have September, October, and November. And then we have the future, the ideal rent, right? His assumed reality. As he lights that slide up, as he lights that future up, that slide moves to another lifeline, to another reality, to another parallel reality, to another world, another 3D world where he's not paying that higher rent, where he's paying the $250, his ideal rent, his assumed reality, right? So, but not only were those events part of the bridge of incidents, all events will change as he does this. Not only the event of paying that rent, but I want to show you that he changed all time. He changed all events. Here's what he said. I simply paid the months of September and October. But when I went to pay November rent, the landlord, he quoted the new rent figure to me, which was the dollar amount I had originally chosen to pay. Hear this. It changed. There were things something changed, right? There was some paperwork, things that had changed, and the landlord went to him, look, we quoted you incorrectly. This is actually, your new rent is actually $250. Do you see it? He's been paying $325, but he lit it up and he moved to that new timeline. Now, what happened? So now he knows that his new rent is $250, but not just that. The landlord said it was retroactive. In other words, that the money that he paid, for the rent that he paid, he gets it back. So it's having the effect that he really only paid $250, $250, and $250. It's retroactive. Neville changed all reality, all time, by imagining this ideal rent. So I want to show you this, but remember, you're not only lighting up that future and changing the future, you're changing the present and you're changing the past as you imagine your wish fulfilled. And I'm going to show you this in a minute here. So not only did Neville assume and occupy his new desired reality of desired rent of $250 as an example, he did so retroactively. What does that mean? It means you're changing all time. When you focus on your wish fulfilled, everything changes. The whole fabric of that reality changes, and you move to a new lifeline that has a new past, right? A new present and a new future. And here's what Neville said. Since the reduced rent was retroactive to the day I moved in, I got it all back at the beginning of the third month. When he went to pay the third month, that's when the landlord said, hey, we made a mistake. Your rent's really supposed to be $250. So it was retroactive back to the beginning of time. He changed all time. This is the new parallel reality. This is the bridge of incidents of the new film roll. As he walked over the bridge of incidents, now look at it. September and October are no longer $325. They're $250. The ideal rent, $250. The effect is, yeah, he got all the money back in the present. But what was the real effect of that? The real effect is that he only paid that in the past. It changed everything. The incidents, the events, conditions became enchanted as Neville lived in the end while allowing the script and seeing all of it leading to the fulfillment in 3D reality. Do you see that? He changed the past because now, effectively, his rent was only $250 and $250 for September and October. He got it all back. He changed it all. He moved on it. He enchanted the events. He walked along the bridge of incidents, even though as he was walking around the bridge of incidents, remember, his wife who said, well, that's not demonstrating this principle, might interpret that bridge as not the bridge as bridge of incidents that you don't want. Do you see it? But all those events, as he paid rent, those events were leading him to what he wants. He knew that, right? All events are leading you. As he paid that rent, it led him to what he wanted. He changed all time. That's really how 3D events and conditions become enchanted. By focusing on your desired end, by standing in that conviction no matter what, by looking at all events, all conditions, as part of the unfolding in 3D reality of that wish fulfilled. Because the wish is fulfilled within. And that's all that matters. Remember, your state of being, your assumption, what you imagine, is really the only reality. That's where fulfillment is. It's not out there. It's not out there in the events. It's not out there in the conditions. It's within you, right? Those conditions are just a mirror of that fulfillment that's already within you. That's how 3D events and conditions become enchanted. That is the Bridge of Incidence. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for liking and sharing and commenting on the videos. We have a Facebook page that is a group page for those who want to share insight and guidance with others and ask for insight and guidance. That's at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful. It's called the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors. We also have Instagram and Twitter at Tom Kearin. We have a membership channel, which we just released a big video last night on the membership channel. You can see that. There's a link below to join if you're not a member. We also have a live stream this month on the membership channel, May 21st, 2023 at 9 a.m. in the morning with me here live from Las Vegas. I'm going to answer your questions, the questions that you send ahead of time to the email info@besomethingwonderful.com. And if time's permitting, I will answer questions that you ask live on the live stream. So that's all on the membership channel. Big video last night. We're going to have a live stream this month. More coming, guys. So for all that information and more, just go to our website at tomkearin.com or besomethingwonderful.com. This is Tom with Be Something Wonderful, creators and members with great love and great light and infinite gratitude. We'll see you soon.